Any other old business? Mr. Russell.
Yes, I would move that we would lift ordinance 2017-021 as amended off the table.
Is that the bicycle?
Second, Mr. Wopser. All those in favor of lifting the ordinance off the table say aye after name is called. Those opposed, nay.
Ms. Frishy?
Aye.
Mr. Harrington?
Aye.
Mr. Hellman?
Aye.
Mr. Klein? Mr. Monday?
Aye.
Mr. Niemeyer?
Aye.
Mr. Russell?
Aye.
Mr. Schindeldecker?
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Aye.
And Mr. Wopser?
Aye.
The ordinance is lifted from the table. Mr. Russell.
Move for adoption of ordinance 2017-021 as amended.
Second, Mr. Wopser. Discussion. Mr. Mundy.
It's been a long time since we've talked about this. Could someone who's familiar with it, the law director or the mayor, what are the provisions in this ordinance? Just refresh my memory.
There's a couple provisions. One was when riding on sidewalks within a business district, bicycle riders shall use the right side of the sidewalk insofar as adjacent to the street and turn corners slowly in such a manner as will prevent collision. That language wasn't real clear, first of all, about what side you were, because it depended on the right side. So you're either away from, if you're coming south, and you're against the buildings if you're going north. So that's amended to suggest no person shall ride a bicycle on the sidewalk within the downtown district. For purposes of this section, the downtown district is defined as being bordered on the north by the south side of the Blanchard River, on the south by Lincoln Street, on the east by the first north-south alley lying east of Main Street, extended both north and south to the intersections of the northern and southern boundaries, and on the west by the first north-south alley lying west, again extended both north and south to the northern and southern boundaries.
Mr. Mundy.
Then another question is, how will this, if it's passed, how will this be enforced? And what is the penalty for violating this ordinance?
They're minor misdemeanors.
Okay, $100 or less.
Yeah, all $150 now.
Oh, it's changed since that.
Since you were times changed. A little inflation. It also did away with the licensing of bicycles because nobody licensed their bicycles. So we took that out as well.
Mr. Mundy.
So the choice will be, if this is passed, is either walk your bike in the downtown area or ride out on the street with the cars, with traffic. Or back in the alley. But if you want to be on Main Street, you either walk it or you ride your bike on Main Street with the cars. Okay.
I don't think you want to do that.
Any other discussion? Mr. Russell.
Yes, and what that creates is commonly called a dismount zone, where it necessitates you walk your bicycle in an area that is generally considered, or hopefully has more pedestrians. And it's just as we're doing the Main Street project, revitalization project to improve safety, this is another safety measure for pedestrians in downtown. And it turns bicycle riders into walking pedestrians, the same as pedestrians on foot. The options, as stated, is walk your bike in the dismount zone, ride in the street, or else come at Main Street from East Street or Corey Street, which will be a Cheryl Lane bicycle corridor in essence. And so, in other words, come at Main Street on a bike via a different method or a different path. And then, as a reminder, to council, I did do research of other cities and how they approach this, and the vast majority of them have similar legislation in place, all with the, I'm sure their purpose is all with safety in mind. One of my main questions, two questions. One for the engineer, and you're totally on the spot because you don't know that this is coming. Is how would we designate this area as being a dismount zone? And I could say that in research I've done and what I've seen in the past is you see actually on the sidewalk a little small icon painted onto the sidewalk that says dismount zone, ride bikes in downtown district. The other alternative would be signs hung in some manner, and then you got to find a place to hang them and all that. I mean, from my experience, the dismount zone on the sidewalk is the way to do it. Has there been any thought or consideration as to how we would delineate this area and tell bicycle riders that they're in a dismount zone?
As of right now, no.
Okay.
I agree with you. The marking the sidewalk is going to be a lot easier than finding room for signs. We'll just have to do the research to find out, what the symbol needs to be, what the words need to be, so we can get a template made for the street department so they can mark those all the same.
Great. Second question is back to the law director. Specifically, we have a lot of ordinances on the books that can or cannot, are or are not enforced. And this is one that I think would be pretty difficult to enforce unless the police just happened to be there at that specific time. And so I'm kind of wondering on the theory as to having an ordinance on the books that is lightly enforced. We'll use that term. So, I mean, why have this?
Well, because the investigation that we conducted revealed that we had quite a few accidents involving not only bikes and pedestrians, but also vehicles and bikes. Typically you have to observe the violation to enforce it anyway, and that's true of all of them. So, are we going to have officers just running up and down Main Street looking for people riding bicycles? No. I hope this gets some attention and people abide by it. And I would imagine on a first or second violation, it may even be a warning. And I would hope that it would be a warning for, a couple months till people understand and the improvements downtown are done and understand what it means as a dismount zone and not riding their bikes downtown. You got to educate the public, and that comes through the mayor's office as well as through the police department.
Mr. Stachak. Mr. Stachak.
I had two quick comments. One, I just wanted to remind council there was a records request regarding the number of incidents, and I think it was 3 or less over all the years that you've had the sidewalk ordinance in place. And the second quick comment I have, just from a liability perspective, it took me almost 30 minutes to get from the university to the Little Caesars on the end of town. And if you pass this tonight, not saying it's not good, not saying it's one way or the other, but if you pass this tonight, I would hope the timing of putting people on the street with everything going on downtown is proper. So just two quick comments. Thank you.
Mr. Schindeldecker.
My personal preference would be to wait until the downtown streetscape project is completed and see what it looks like. Unfortunately, however, all this legislation will die at the end of December, and rather than go through the whole thing over again, I would support it. But maybe the effective date could be set for sometime beyond the first of the new year. Is that possible?
Well, if you pass it tonight, it's going to go into effect as soon as it's signed. But
Mr. Niemeyer.
Well, I think this should also include skateboards, rollerblades. I think worse than bicycles would be skateboards, if you ever spend any time on Main Street. And there's a lot of outside seating that is more or less out of control at restaurants. There should be better control on that, as opposed to picking on bicyclists.
Mr. Mundy?
Don, don't we already have an ordinance for rollerblades and skateboards and that kind of apparatus in the downtown business district that prohibits it?
I believe we do, and I'm not sure if it just pertains to downtown.
Well, yeah, I don't know about that either, but at least it does pertain to downtown. I think it was skateboards and rollerblades and regular roller skates.
And I would like to address Mr. Stasiak's comment. There was a public documents request made, and that public document request was very specific to a couple block area. But when we looked at all throughout the city, there were a number of these accidents. So, Mr. Russell.
Yeah, and I've also had conversations, and I know it's anecdotal, but with numerous folks that have had accidents and near misses that don't get reported and don't have reports generated. I've also heard from a lot of downtown merchants who have echoed exactly what Mr. Niemeyer said about including skateboards and rollerblades, and in essence, it's things that move. Now, downtown tables and dining establishments, they don't move, and that it's the movement that causes the danger. I want to also mention to council conversations I've had with Eric McKee, owner of Muddy River Bicycle Company, and he is a strong advocate for all of his customers, and especially his customers who are developmentally disabled and riding the tricycle or the three-wheeled vehicle, and saying that the walking of those vehicles is very it's difficult. It's not the same as walking a bicycle. And Eric and I talked at great length about this, and I believe it would be best if we would exempt those individuals from this ordinance if we were to pass it. There's simply not many of them, so just from a volume standpoint, they still pose a risk, but less of a risk, and it's an accommodation that I think we could be willing. It's an accommodation and compromise that would be good to make, and if it proved to be unworkable, we can always address it at a later time, but I don't think that would happen. So it'd be for consideration for council. And lastly, a comment was about when this would be effective. I don't believe there's an emergency on this, so the ordinance would would go into effect after being passed. And I'm not necessarily saying we should pass it today or have a vote on it. I'm quite willing to. In fact, I'd like to see it tabled again, so that we can have the city engineer investigate how the markings would happen. It also would give us, this conversation gives us an opportunity to hear once again from our constituents about the importance of safety in the downtown area, and weighing that against the convenience of bicycles being able to ride on the sidewalks, and have them let you know what's important to them.
So
I got a question. Are we tabling this again?
I don't know.
The only way we can have a conversation is to bring it off the table and give it a motion and have it seconded and have the conversation. So
I understand. I'm just asking the question.
That's one to take up with Mr. Roberts.
His rules.
Mr. Roberts' rules, yes.
Roberts.
I appreciate what we've done with this and bringing it up and having a further discussion with it. I do think it's also something that we need to discuss probably once we get the cityscape done and we see where the mid-street crossings or how those are going to look. I also think that's going to play into a conversation we need to have about the downtown restaurants as we see how this all plays out. So things that we can do. I would make a motion to table legislation.
Second, Mr. Russell. All those in favor of tabling, say after name is called. Those opposed, nay.
Mr. Harrington.
Aye.
Mr. Hellman.
Aye.
Mr. Klein.
Aye.
Mr. Monday.
Aye.
Mr. Niemeyer.
Yes.
Mr. Russell.
Aye.
Mr. Schindeldecker.
Aye.
Mr. Watson?
Aye.
Mr. Wobser?
Aye.
And Ms. Frishy?
Ordinance 2017-21